Grace, I see your pretty face.
Eric, you're Eric. You are.
I'm Eric. Boy, you really won that one. Episode 40, number 46. We're here. We have what? This one for, if I'm doing math right, 5, 6 more month and a half before we're in that year. Woo.
What?
Yeah.
We have some planning to do.
Yeah. I get to see you this weekend. That's crazy.
Yay! I'm so excited.
You want to start this show, you think, or what?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, listen up. Tonight's all about the Rocksylvania Trail Series and all the races in the sticks. So let's learn all about it on episode 46.
I'm Eric, Idiot Runner Kosek.
And I'm Grace, Hot Pants Langheim. Eric is all business in the front of the pack, and I am all about the party in the back.
That's right, business up front and party in the back. Together, we are the Running Mullet.
And we are going to talk about every aspect of running, the podium to the DNF and everything in between.
If you are a runner, this show is for you. Now sit back, get out your foam roller, and enjoy the party.
Pew, 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 pew.
Happy Monday, Grace. I had off today, so it was a great Monday for me. One of the best ones ever because I didn't work.
Same.
That's awesome. Gosh.
Same. I head up the Conestoga Trail today. That was fun.
Nice. How was you went to the fun stuff this weekend? How was that?
That was my third year volunteering at Funt. I love volunteering at this race. It is so much fun. PHUN. It is fun. Had a blast. Lacey and I went there, and then we went for a little hike afterwards.
Was the weather favorable?
Terrible. It was absolutely terrible.
Good.
There was no rain in the forecast. It was pouring buckets. And then as soon as it was done raining, the wind just terrible. Nice. It was very, very windy. We had to take down the pop-up. And then as soon as the runners were finishing kind of that middle of the pack, the sun came out. So
cool. Well, at least it didn't keep raining.
Yeah. And we are very fortunate to, next week we are booking some top
I would say
notch.
We are stacked, Grace.
We are stacked with some top-notch guests coming up tonight, next week, and the week after. And so next week is going to be Carl Perkins, who's the race director for Funt, and he has been race directing that race for 10 years. It's phenomenal. So we're going to learn a lot from him. So I'm excited to have him on.
Yes. Well, next 2 weeks, or tonight and next week's all about race directors. So it's always good to talk to them and figure out what's going on with this coming year and how they do what they do and what makes them good at what they do and all that stuff.
Now, what'd you do this past weekend?
I cleaned for you and a bunch of other people. So when you come to my house, it's not a mess. I cleaned my garage or my barn. If
your barn
calls it. Yeah. So I think we're ready for you. As ready as I'm going to be. It's going to be cold, really cold. Yeah.
And you're hoping we're going to get a record mileage. Yeah.
I mean, that's my hope. I'm not the one out there putting down the boots on the ground to get that mileage, but I think it's possible. I think there's quite a few people who have that goal in mind, so it should be interesting.
Yeah, it's gonna be a fun time.
The new Idiot Loop. I call it the Idiot Loop 2.0. Yeah. Same thing but different. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, if I don't like it, I'm only doing it once.
Good. The quicker you can get out of my house, the better. That's what I always
That's what you always say. And then you invite me back every time.
So tonight, you ready to get this show rolling?
Let's do it.
We are talking about the Rocksylvania Trail Series, and we have on a race director from North Central PA who he can correct me if I'm wrong, but I asked John Schaefer this, so John Schaefer is going to take the heat for this also if he's wrong. I believe Craig RD's 10 races throughout the year.
That is a lot.
Yeah, and even if it is wrong, anywhere near that number is nuts. So his races are very smoothly run. Everybody loves everything about them. He does a phenomenal job. I don't really know what else more there is to say other than hopefully we have some questions coming in for him once he's on. But we appreciate his time coming on to talk about the Rocksylvania Trail Series, which is a bunch of trail races all around, I'm going to say North Central PA.
And Craig is a great runner himself and does a ton of trail work. And so many reasons why we love having you on the show. Craig, welcome.
Well, glad to be on.
Oh, man. And the idea for the show, I've been stalking the updates for the Rocksylvania Trail Series because I don't know if I'm going to make it for this year. I'm already signed up for at least one of the races, but one of these years I'm going to be eligible for one of the cool awards at the end. I'm determined it's either going to be this year or next year. And I had some questions about the Rocksylvania Trail Series. And I thought instead of asking you those questions, we would just have you on the show. So we can you talk about it on the show and answer everybody's questions about the Rocksylvania Trail Series. So here you are.
Sounds good. Fire away.
Well, first, tell us about and Rocksylvania, for those of you who are listening, is the kind name that Pennsylvania has been given mostly by hikers. The Appalachian Trail hikers call Pennsylvania Rocksylvania. And so all of these races take place in Pennsylvania. And Trail Series is typically a collection of races that are put together and as one collection, and then awards are given out collectively, your performance over the course of several races, rather than just the one race, or in addition to just the one race. So there is a trail series called the Rocksylvania Trail Series that a ton of people are involved in, but I think you masterminded the whole thing, Craig. And so just tell us about it.
Well, we used to be part of Trail Runner Magazine series, and it was I think it was called the Trophy Series. And every year, if you ever looked at the winners, like Pennsylvania won, like if there was 18 categories, Pennsylvania was like 16 out of 18 every year for like 5 years. And so it was a hotbed for trail running, but the thing was all of our races locally joined the series with Trail Runner, but we never really got any recognition from it. I don't know why. They just have that. They call that bias, West Coast bias. So, but we were paying money to be part of their series, which was fine. But it just seemed like, well, why don't we just start our own here? We're not getting publicity anyhow, and we're paying for it. Why don't we pay into a little pot here in Central PA? And where all the winners were coming from anyhow, and let's just reward them our own way. So we started in 2018. We kind of broke off, and now I don't think Trail Runner even has that series anymore, but we got out kind of at a good time. But 2018, I said, well, why don't we just get some races together that were already part of that series? We'll just make our own here, and we'll do our own prizes and point system and things like that. So got together with, John Johnson and Amy and, Joel Heasley and, all the race directors like that, Josh Gavitt, Luke Ebling, and, we all help one another out anyhow. So all those names, John and Amy and Josh Gavitt and Denny Colgrove, they're at all the races anyhow. So I was like, well, let's just do it. We're all kind of a family. So we started our own series, and I think we only had maybe like 8 races back then, but it's grown to 20. And we do our own little point system, but we kind of focus on how many events that you do. So we were talking earlier before the show started, was we try to make it simple of how to earn a prize. And so there's 20 races, but there's 5 divisions. So you can pick, like the Sandstone division, there's 5 races, but they're mainly like 10Ks. There's a 7K, the Chief Watona 4-miler. So it's kind of like the shorter event. And then Slate division has 8 races, but that's more some of your harder 10Ks, your 15Ks, things like that. But what we do is you just finish 8 of anything, any race. If you do the Heiner 25K, and then you do a 5K, maybe at the night flight 10K, it doesn't matter. If you do 8 races in the series, then you get invited to New Trail Brewing Company for the party. And we do a Windstop jacket now every year, like a nice embroidered jacket. So 8 races. And then the other stipulation is we do age groups for each division. And we have like a 19 and under up to 60 and over. And if you come in the top 3 at the end of the year, and so each race that you do, you get up to 25 points in your age group. So if you come in first, you get 25 points. Come in 25th, you get 1. Now, unfortunately, some of the races like Heiner, there might be 200 people in your age group. You might not get any points, and that's fine, but you still get credit towards the 8 races. So some people get all bent out of shape, like, well, I didn't earn any points. And we're like, that's okay. We keep track. And when I say we, Falcon Timing and Revive Gear, Andy and Tanya do the points. So God love them, because I used to do it when we first started. And it is a pain to keep track of like 3,300 people, because it's just not points. You have to also include, did they finish? They might not have got points, but you have to keep them in there. So, but we handle all that. So there was a little confusion for some new people coming in, like, what do I need to do to be part of the series? Nothing. We take care of it.
And I want to clarify that. So there is no registration into the Rocksylvania Trail Series. If you are registering for one of the participating races, you're automatically gonna be counted.
Yeah, we'll keep your points. So if you come in 3rd at Heiner and you get, the 23 points or whatever, it's automatically calculated. And for people that are like, oh, I don't want to be part of this series, that's fine. You just don't come to the party, don't collect your jacket, whatever. But we're gonna invite you to the party. We are going to buy you a jacket, and then there's a lot of prizes from our sponsors. But it's very simple. Yeah.
So I want to back up. So I have so many clarifying questions. So so the jacket is for people who participate in 8 of the races of any division.
Yep.
And then in addition to that, there are prizes for the top 3 of each age division in each category.
Right.
Okay.
Yep. Now, with that, you have to do a minimum of 4 in that division. So let's take the Sandstone division has 5 races. Okay. It's Night Flight, Chief Watona, Heiner 7K, Dandelion, and Little Pine 5 miler. There's 5 races. You have to do 4, a minimum of 4 to get the jacket. So, because some age groups, as we were discussing earlier, there might be a 17-year-old kid that only does 1, but he got 25 points. Well, we're not buying a jacket for someone that just did 1 event. So we do put a minimum of there. That way you're investing in our series, we'll invest back into you. So each division, now some divisions have 8 races. So you just have to do 4 in any division, just a minimum of 4 to earn the jacket. Now, bragging rights, you could be that 25-year-old girl or guy that comes in 3rd. That's great. Even if you only did 2 races, but you were that fast, you got all those points. But at the end of the year, you're going to be on the website. Great job. You came in 3rd place. But to get invited to the party and earn the jacket, you must do at least 4 events.
Yeah.
And most, I think 80% of the people do, they win by doing 4. So
now, if anybody who's doing the math, there are 20 races. But then there's, you're saying there's 8 in one category, and that's because some of these races have multiple distances, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. For instance, Green Monster has a 15K, 25K, 50K. So basically, and then like Heiner has 2, Call the Wilds has 2, Sharp Top has 2. So so what you have to do is you have to figure out, do I want to just do 8 races and scatter them around and just kind of have fun? Or do I want to concentrate on a division? Well, if you want to concentrate on a division, then if you're doing Green Monster and you already did, say, the View, or you're going to do the View 15K, we might as well do the 15K Green Monster. You're going to get more points that way.
Yeah.
So basically some people will say, well, hey, I like the ultras. So I'll do the Dolomite division, which is the Heiner 50K, Sharp Top 50K, Boulder Beast, Green Monster 50K, and the Call of the Wilds 50K. Mm-hmm. So people will just concentrate on that division. And there's only 5 races. So it's a little easier to get the points in that one. So
yeah.
But, so we just try to make it fun. That's all it is. And it's free. We don't charge anything to any participants. And at the end of the year, we throw like a really nice party at New Trail Brewing Company. And, it's a lot of fun. So.
Yeah. And Misty Trowbridge just asked the question that I was wondering, and it is kind of common sense now that she asked it. All right. Now that you kind of described it, but it's impossible to do them all just because the different distances are from the same race on the same day.
Right.
So if somebody wants to say, oh, I want to try to do them all, it's pretty much impossible just because of the way it's laid out.
It would be impossible. But to Misty's question is, if you're completing that many events, you're going to come in the top 3 most likely.
Right.
And you're going to get the 8 races. So when we do the prize bags at the end of the year, usually like when La Sportiva or one of our sponsors like that gives us some nice swag, it tends to go to the people that do the most events, like the Misties, Rick Philmans, the people that you do all these events, or if they win 2 or 3 categories, like someone like a Rick Philman or Jane Cohn, people like that, they'll win multiple age groups in different divisions. So people that the more you win, like when La Sportiva sends a running jacket or a free shoe certificate for a free pair of shoes, it tends to get into those bags. So, but you can't do all 20, but you could do most of them. But we don't do a prize. Like I said, I don't think we've had many people do every single event. It's almost impossible.
That sounds like a challenge, though.
But it's something that we could consider. We have 9 months to figure it out.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
If someone does every race on that calendar, I'll make sure they get something.
All right. Okay. And they are primarily, they're all through the year, right? We kind of kick off with some stuff. Do you have anything February, March?
Frozen Snot's coming up in 3 weeks.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So the Frozen Snot 8.5 miler is part of the Slate division. And then the half, the 12 or 13.5 miler is part of the Limestone. So that'll be the first one. And then we have Fire in the Rocks, which is actually my favorite 10K there at Zindel Park. So that's in March, and it goes the whole way up through second week in November with Tracy Kemmer's Tie Dot and Challenge.
Great.
So
and I think one of the other things I wanted to point out with this, I have heard this from. Specifically from some podcasts that focus, they have that West Coast bias. And I remember listening to a podcast and they were talking about, are there any sub-ultra races out there? And I'm just like screaming on the other side, come to Pennsylvania because we have so many sub-ultra beautiful races. It's not like it's a sub-ultra and you have to go around the playground 12 times. I mean, these sub-ultra races are gorgeous. Some of them are incredibly difficult, like Frozen Snot. I was telling somebody the other day, I said, look, my one year I ran Algonquin 50K, and I think my time was like 6:49. And then the next weekend I did Frozen Snot, the 13.5, and my time was 6:47. It was only 2 minutes faster than my 50K. And so I think that's another thing to point out with the Rocksylvania Trail Series. Like, yes, we're talking about 4 milers and 10Ks and 15Ks, but these are beautiful, beautiful races throughout Pennsylvania.
Yeah. And I'd say too, like our Sandstone division is like, I call it, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but like an entry level, like that's the, like the Night Flight, the Heiner, like we have the Heiner half in August. Well, we put on a 7K. And so it's only 4.5 miles, but it's a tough race. But what we're finding is that division, like if there's 36 total age group winners, I think 33 out of the 36 spots were filled for a prize at the Rocks. They all got invited to the Rocksylvania Series. So that's showing me now, if you take the Dolomite division, which is all pretty much the 50Ks, only 6 out of the 36 earned.
Wow.
So what it's shown me is there's a lot of room for beginners with this series. So the sandstone division and slate division, it's 15 Ks and under kind of thing combined. That's where most of our people are coming from. And I love that, because without getting those newer people, and then I'll talk about the kids stuff in a little bit here, because that's part of Rocksylvania now. But that's where you're getting a lot of the people, and you're getting new people into this sport. And if you've ever seen, I mean, you know, when you get to a race and you talk your friend or your neighbor or, you know, a high school kid into this sport or somebody, the look on their face when they finish these events, that's what inspires us to keep doing what we're doing. Is they just love, and you can just see it, that they're hooked. And so I think it's very important. Like what the series is, last year we had a couple people that when I sent the email out, they had no idea. They got back to me. They're like, "What do you mean I'm invited to this party? I never win anything." And I'm like, "But you won your age group."
Yeah.
And they're like, "That's impossible." You know, and it's like, no, it's not. You did 5 out of the 6 races or 6 out of the 7. You earned enough points. And so that kind of inspires people to get out there, you know, to give it their all. And we're not asking you to, you know, you don't have to win the event.
Yeah.
We're just finding, but these divisions that have the shorter distances are packed. That's where we're finding most of the people. And as you go up in distance, it's a little tougher and it's more of a commitment. We get a little bit less, but the thing is, we have that pipeline coming in that more and more people are trying it. They might be motivated to say, "Hey, my goal is just to get that jacket next year." And if they complete 8 races, that's a big commitment. And so they deserve it. So I love seeing that.
Yeah, the beautiful thing, the beautiful word is they earn it. Like you said, and that's totally different than what we're brought up thinking of racing and having, you know, trying to win and things like that. You know, you don't have to worry about that in a series like this. You just have to do, you know, put your time in of so many races and earn it.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. And I'll touch on real quick, if you don't mind, we started the Rocksylvania Kids series. So even with that, I mean, it's 3 events. It's Little Loggers, Smallfoot, and Canyon Kids. We joined up with the Tioga Running Club there. Well, that's in your backyard, Eric. And so the 3 kids races, I mean, I think last year, Little Loggers was our original one. So that's always the biggest event. We had 253 kids toe the line. Now, there was 300 signed up, but we had 253. Smallfoot had 146, and Canyon Kids had 156 kids. And out of them, so what we did is if you did all 3, you earned an extra piece of swag. So we did like a quarter zip and I think a bag and for kids. And here again, this is free. You know, we keep track of everything, and we really didn't do points for that. What we do is if you do all 3, you earn a prize at Smallfoot, which is the last race. But we had 80 kids, which is 80 did all 3 events, which is, you know, for kids 12 and under. I mean, you know, they're in soccer and they're in football and you got all this stuff going on, but 80 were able to complete all 3 events. I thought that was amazing. And to give those kids, you know, like the Bad Orphs and that, like those kids wear those shirts around like a badge of honor. And you can see them like the first day of school, you see on Facebook, and their kids have these shirts on, and they really, you know, are proud of that. So that's kind of feeding that pipeline too, is let's get the young kids involved. And so even the Rocksylvania Kids series, it's growing. So I think we went from like 60 kids to 80 this year, from 2022 to 2023. And even our Rocksylvania series, like for the you know, the adults, I mean, it keeps growing. I think we had 106 this year that earned a jacket. And so it just keeps growing. So it's very fun to watch. So
yeah, the Little Loggers thing. I mean, it started out with just the Little Loggers, I believe, the first year, right? And it is crazy. You know, you said the numbers this year. That many kids did a race. If there wasn't such thing as Little Loggers, then they wouldn't even know what it feels like to run 1 mile, let alone whatever I forget what the distance.
Yeah, they're 3 miles.
Yeah, but I mean that's huge. So for those 80 that did all 3, for example, if even a quarter of them realize, holy moly, this running thing, I kind of get used to this. You just introduced, that's huge.
Yeah. Well, and Little Loggers is on Father's Day typically. Now this year there's an extra Saturday in June, so it's going to be the 23rd, I think it is. But so it won't be on Father's Day, but for 253 kids on Father's Day to be there, and I don't know how many dads would come up to me after the race and say, "This is the best way to spend Father's Day is watching my kids running." Oh, and some fathers, we allow parents to run with the kids. We kind of discourage it. Once you've been there, once the kids are over 6 or 7, they don't want to be running with mom and dad, but parents get to run with their kids too. And it's such a good feeling. But even 80 kids, 253 lined up, but on Father's Day, that's amazing to me. But I just think it's a good thing for the kids to get them out.
It is. And so a couple of things on that. I mean, one, this is huge. Forget about the racing and competitiveness and all of that, but just getting out into nature and having physical movement is just so good for our mental and emotional health.
Yeah.
So that's really the ultimate win and a huge piece of it. I do want to clarify for people, because some people might hear the word free and think that they're misunderstanding. So the trail series for the kids, again, they don't have to register for it or anything like that. Right. But like Little Loggers for kids 12 and under, this is a free trail race, right?
Yep. It's everything. Well, all three. So even
all three are free.
Canyon Kids, Smallfoot. I love Canyon Kids up there. So we do it. We're kind of the same, which is nice. Like even the Rocksylvania Trail Series, all of our races, if you come to them, there's definitely a culture there that you're kind of used to. But with the kids, it's the same thing. They get the shirt, the socks, or whatever swag that you're handing out. It's all free. All three have food afterwards, with an ice cream truck, or, I know Canyon Kids, they do the hand dipped ice cream from a local place. But it's all free. And the parents too. But we want the kids to get out there and experience what we're all experiencing on average weekends when we're going to races, but we just want to make it free for them to come and enjoy, get to experience it. And then hopefully, as they get older, they stick with it. Or if maybe their sports require them to not do so much trail running, because whether they're playing a different sport that, but we want them to come back.
Yeah. Yeah. So I just wanted to clarify for people. If you think you heard that wrong, you did not. These are free trail races you can join in Pennsylvania. And can you talk a little bit, because some people might say, wow, that's amazing. I mean, it still costs money to hold this kind of stuff. How do you fund it? And also, how can I help? And so can you talk a little bit about Revive and how that helps?
So with PA Trail Dogs, like the more races that you do of mine, that's what my money goes towards, some of it. And then Revive has the shop set up at the events, and that's where the proceeds go towards that. And people can donate when you sign your child up for the race. There is a place on each race on Ultra Sign Up that you can donate. So we'll collect a couple $100 from people donating when they sign up their child. It's free. But like I said, there'll be a tab there that you can donate $10 or $20 or whatever you want. And I think this year there's a group of people that contacted us that said that they want to pick up the ice cream truck bill for us.
Wow,
so every once in a while, you'll get maybe somebody that steps in and says, hey, I came to that last year. I have a business. And so we just do things that way. I think Revive got a grant for Little Loggers in the past. So everything goes to help, because I think Little Loggers, with usually 300 kids signed up, that's about a $12,000 race. So we don't have to pay all 12,000. Sometimes, between donations and things like that, or maybe, something gets donated, but we all know when that ice cream truck rolls in, then everything's, everything's out the window. Those kids are lined up at that truck. But that's one of our biggest probably expenses, is the ice cream truck. But it's completely free. Just go on Ultra Sign-Ups page for those races. Little Loggers is open right now. So there is a place in there that you can donate, or just go to revivegear.com And I think Tanya has a spot set up that you can, run wild. But
I love the Revive gear. I have a lot of Revive gear, and it's good gear. Like my joggers, those are my favorite joggers. They might not. I don't know. They're my favorite joggers, but Eric's sweatpants are my favorite sweatpants. So we'll go right. Joggers and sweatpants are different. So lots of great gear, and good condition shoes can also be donated to Revive, right? So if you go to any of the races, you're like, hey, I've got a pair of La Sportivas. They didn't quite fit right. I want to give them. You can donate them to Revive, and then Revive will then sell them at a low price.
revivegear.com. Tanya handles all of that. So like little loggers, we kind of coordinate, like we'll just kind of pick and choose. Like little loggers, I'll handle the insurance and the agreement, the permit through the state, and things like that. And then we kind of coordinate that together. She'll pick up maybe the shirts and the socks, and so we just kind of share the responsibilities on that. And then Canyon Kids, that's all through Tioga Running Club, and but I know Revive, she sets up there as well. And then Smallfoot, that is a Revive event. That's all Tanya's. That's her event. So, but it's a nice thing, a good relationship there, because like the money, if you're buying that gear, it's all gone back to the kids. So, yeah,
shoes and gear. So, oh man, we covered a lot. There's so many opportunities. I do want to kick back to Misty's question. Do you have plans to add anything longer than a 50K to the Rocksylvania Trail Series?
I don't think so, only because, like I said, the Dolomite division itself, we only had 6 people earn a prize out of 36 possibilities. Mm-hmm. So if we're going to put our money into the series, I'd rather put it in personally to the shorter divisions. That's where most of the people are. Yeah. Because like when I look at the Dolomite, 6 out of 36 isn't, that just tells me there's not a lot of interest. People aren't, because to be honest with you, they're doing Heiner 50K. There's some good 50Ks in there, but I don't think, unless they're, Eastern states, there's not, what else is around here? So there's not a lot of opportunities. We'd have to go out of the area, and how many of those races are going to want to be part of the series? The series, we kind of did it to help the local races here, that if you were to choose an event, you'd be like, all right, well, Fire in the Rocks 10K sounds fun, and I'm from Williamsport. Well, I'll just do that instead of driving to Maryland or, New York or wherever. Like, we tried to keep it located where people stick around here. But to have longer distances, there's just not a lot around here. It seems like most of the races here, like I said, besides Eastern states, we really don't have anything over 50.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying the folks out on the West Coast that think that there aren't shorter, sub-ultra distances. There's a lot out there, and they keep people like Matt Lipsy happy.
I don't understand when the magazines, that all they want to focus on is ultras, and that's fine. Yeah. But more of your readers are here. They're in the 25K divisions. They're, there's 1,500 people at Heiner.
Yeah.
Okay. So that tells you, or you go up the Green Monster and it's packed. It's sold out. You go to Sharp Top, Lee and Laura sell out every year. Like that's where the people are. And that's all under 50K. But yet nobody wants to focus on that. That's fine. We'll take it.
Yeah.
I'll take the beginners all day long, or, the people doing the shorter distance. I'll take that all day long, because that's where you get the people that
it is a cool mixture, because you get beginners, but then you do get people like Matt Lipsy, and he's a phenomenal runner, and he's like, I just don't want to do the ultra distance. And so you do get a mixture of some incredibly strong runners for whatever reason, just because maybe they don't want to do ultra distance, or they want to do something short and fast, and maybe a part of their training plan. And so I think those sub ultra distances are a lot of fun, partially for that reason, because the the crowd that it attracts is so diverse. It's really great. And especially those times where you have different distances to choose from. Green Monster's a great example where you have that 15, 25, and 50. And the crowd at that race is just such a cool, diverse crowd.
Yeah, I think that's the flavor that you get. I think whether you go to, Sharp Top or Smith's Knob, or you go to Fire in the Rocks, they're all unique in their own way. But at the same time, they all kind of have that same flavor of like it's a crowd that's there. They're cheering one another on. There's a lot of camaraderie. Yeah. I think you find the same kind of flavor. I don't know how else to describe it. But
I don't know if we mentioned Greenwood Furnace either. And that
Greenwood Furnace is down.
So pretty.
Yep. Greenwood Furnace is involved. That's no, they're changing over race directors, and I'm not sure they're in the series. I'm just not sure who the new race director is yet. But it was Nate King, and I know he was handing it over to somebody. But that's a nice one. That's a half. I know they have a 10K now that they offer, but just the half's part of the series.
Yeah, but, it's such a pretty race.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, I love it up there.
Yeah. So I think you get a good variety.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to jump into anything too big towards the end of the show here, Craig, but you want to talk a little about the PA Trail Dogs volunteer trail work program you got going?
Yeah. So about 3 years ago, we went to a trip out to Colorado, and what I noticed was it was the middle of the summer. We're doing any trail that you want to do. We had no problems. But then I thought, when you come back to Pennsylvania in the summertime, I mean, it's a curse, but it's a beautiful state. The problem is during the summer, as well as I do, the stinging nettle starts to grow in every hollow, the fern, the tall grasses, all the jagger bushes. It gets green and lush. So I thought, well, if I put on Heiner in April and someone from Pittsburgh or Kentucky or Florida wants to come back up and do that course, or the trails that we have around here, the Black Forest Trail, the Mid-State Trail, Ty Dotton, whether any of our events, I'm kind of ashamed because they're all overgrown. It's snaky, it's, ticks, but and then stinging nettle, nobody likes to run through that for a couple miles. So I thought, well, let's start a trail adoption program, and it's still in its infancy. So I do apologize that we don't get every trail clear, but our PA Trail Dogs group, we started 3 years ago, and we spent up to date about $38,000 on trail tools. So our whole premise is we bought mowers, like DR mowers to cut through all the brush. We bought chainsaws. I think we bought almost 30 weed whackers. We buy the gas, the string, the spools, extra change for the saws, anything. And we provide the gas. If you can pick a trail in Central PA in our local area here where we have these Rocksylvania races, we'll supply everything that you need. You just, so if you want a 2-mile section of Mid-State that you run on all the time, I'll give you the weed whacker. You go out, and I'll provide everything. So we have, I think I have listed here, we have 56 trail sections right now adopted out. So we're just starting it, and we're just seeing how this all plays out. And we ask each volunteer to do twice a year. So end of May, early June, and sometime in July, if you can just go out, mostly weed whacking is what we're asking people to do. And just to go out and clip some trails, whether it's on the Mid-State, the Ty Dotton, Black Forest. And we have a list of those on the PA Trail Dogs website under trail adoption. I have to rework that because we're going to add about 10 to 12 new sections. And we're not asking you to do a whole 10-mile, usually 2 miles of weed whacking is enough. Yeah. If you can do that twice a year, I think it takes about 2 hours to weed whack a mile of trail to do it right, to get it down. And, but we'll provide everything. So you just go on patraildogs.com and there's a trail adoption thing. Now I'll be working on that here soon, but, our whole thing is just to keep our local trails open as possible in the summer months. Because right now in the winter, almost every trail that you go out is fine. There's some trees down, maybe some blowdowns, but you don't have to worry about the stinging nettle. And because everything down our way here is hollows. Everything's a run where there's a stream, and the stinging nettle is just, it's such a menace.
There was some pretty big blowdowns I saw over the weekend because we've been hit with a lot of rain down here in southern Pennsylvania. And I saw Mike Stoltzfus out on the Horseshoe Trail.
Yep.
And I was talking to him a bit. He was doing trail work. And I was talking to him a little bit, and he had this really cool backpack. And my husband and I, we have a 2.5 mile section of the Mason-Dixon that we maintain. This backpack was amazing. And he's like, I got it from Craig Fleming.
Yep.
I took a picture of it because I want this backpack. And it was great to see him out on the trails, taking care of it, taking care of the blowdowns that happened recently.
I think we purchased about 10 of those backpacks so far. They're from Dakine.
Yeah.
The backpacks, and Schaefer
so cool.
and John Christ and I were out on the Heiner course on Friday cutting probably the biggest hash tree I've ever had to cut. I think it took the two of us about an hour to get through it. Now we ran on Saturday in the group, and you enjoy the trails so much more when you're not crawling over and through things. But we're even working throughout the winter if we can. And but I think the backpacks, I think we purchased 10. And speaking of chainsaw work, I think we've sent 12 people to the chainsaw safety class at TIDOT and State Forest in the last 2 years. So what we're trying to do is get more people to the training classes, and that way if they can go out and do some chainsaw work for us. But we usually just ask the trail adoption, just to clarify that. We really don't ask anybody to use a chainsaw unless they go to the training. Really what we're looking for them to do is just weed whack or clip. The DR mowers that we bought 2 of the big mowers, the brush mowers. I know like Tess Barnes borrowed one for a while from us, and John Schaefer borrows it. So we'll lend those out to people that, we can trust to use them, but mainly it's just weed whacking. So it's pretty, easy work, or we even buy the loppers, and we bought little backpacks for people. And those packs, I think I have 5 left. So if anybody wants one, contact me. It comes with a silky saw, a pair of loppers, and a pair of hand nippers. And the backpack, it's just a little backpack, but we buy that. And, if you want to just keep a local trail, clip some laurel, that's the way to do it. And the silky saw is a nice hand saw that it's sharp. So it'll cut some bigger stuff, but you don't have to run a chainsaw. So we have a lot of exciting things going on, but I'd like to grow the trail adoption program. It's just, it's just time and money. And the reason why we pay for the gas is so that you use ethanol-free fuel in all of our tools, because we buy the steel weed whackers. And I think, like I said, we purchased about 30. And what we tried to do is if you're a volunteer that's out there weekly, a lot of times I'll just tell you, just keep the weed whacker. Like instead of coming to my house every 2 weeks to grab a weed whacker, a lot of our main volunteers, I just say, just keep it. If we need it, we'll let you know. But so other Schaefer, the Dakine backpacks, we all have them. And, but they're, if you want one, Grace, I'll make sure to get, when they go on sale, I usually buy them. So.
You got to volunteer up here on these trails, Grace. You can't stay down there the whole time. You got to come up here, cut some stuff up here.
Yeah. It's tough to get up there when there's so many fun things to do. But
if I can give one little plug real quick so if anybody wants to help, I know a lot of people ask how they can help with the trail. If you can't get out to help with the trails, because we always have 4 work days a year. And we have a big one coming up in March, usually for Heiner. It's a 4-day, you just come whenever you can, but we do Thursday through Sunday. But we also have a way that if you don't, or you can't help, or you don't live in the area, if you go to PA Trail Dogs Mountain Club on Ultra Sign Up, we do have a way that you can donate to the PA Trail Dogs Mountain Club. And when you do that, 100% of that money goes to trail tools. Then if we have if we buy snacks, or if we have good neighbors, or somebody does some food afterwards, but 100% of that goes towards the trail tools. And we usually get about $2,500 a year through donations, but all that money goes towards the gas, the string, the weed whackers, anything that, the tools. So but that's on Ultra Sign Up. So Ultra Sign Up set up a page for us, PA Trail Dogs Mountain Club. And you can I think it's $25 to join. Or you can make a bigger donation if you'd like, but it's $25, and at least you know that your money's gone towards our work days for trail tools. So
yeah, that's great. And we all remember the Outside Magazine article that came out that was kind of like, hey, trail runners aren't really doing their part to maintain trails. And I think a lot of the trails that you're focused on, because part of the article had mentioned how much mountain bikers do for trails. And that is accurate. I know locally down here in South Central Pennsylvania, the mountain bikers in this area are incredibly active. They do an awesome job of taking care of the trails, and it's definitely no shade on them, but it is a challenge to those trail runners, especially newer trail runners getting into the community to say, hey, let's step up our game a little bit. And a lot of the trails you're maintaining up there are not accessible to mountain bikes.
Right.
So they are primarily hikers and trail runners. There are some great hiking clubs that do a lot of work, like Keystone Trails Association. But there's, many hands make light work.
Yeah.
And so the more people who can get involved and take 2 miles, and I think what you're doing is great because it's organizing us. And that's really the thing that has been missing. I think that people want to help and they want to do a good job and they want to take care of our trails, but they don't necessarily know how to get involved. Or like you said, hey, I don't want to run a chainsaw. Well, actually, that's not really a part of the gig.
Right.
You don't have to do any of that. It's mostly weed whacking and cutting back and taking care of trash. And
although the Outside Magazine article, I think they did that to kind of get the clicks and the people emotional.
I think they did
about it. But at the same time, I mean, as mad as I was when I saw the article, I do have to agree a little bit with them because I've been out on trails before where there's an inch or two of snow and there's tracks in front of us and there's some branches laying there and all the people went around it. And then my friends, we pick the branch up and throw it off and it takes us 1 second to do the flick of the twigs. So I do understand that there's a lot of people out there. My saying with trail running is either you're a giver or you're a taker. And either you're giving back to the sport or you're just taking. And the takers are the people, and I'm not saying just runners. I think backpackers are just as guilty. I'll go on the Black Forest Trail before Slate Run, and there'll be backpackers all over the place, and there's twigs down everywhere. They don't, and so I can say just trail runners aren't guilty of it either. But if everyone just did their part of saying, hey, every run that I do, I'm gonna at least stop and pick up 2 branches and move it off. It'd be less work for everybody. But unfortunately, there used to be a lot more takers. But with our trail adoption program, and I think just getting the word out, because when people come to one of our work days, it's amazing the look on their face. It's almost like a trail event. They're so like, oh my God, I gave back. And then when they run that race, like let's say they did some side hill digging, it's funny because you hear them back there saying, hey, this is that spot that I helped dig out. And they're proud of that. And they see a different perspective. And so my thing is the more people that we can encourage and to inspire just to move. I mean, you don't have to cut a big tree, but if you can just move a couple branches on your hike or your run, then we don't have to go out there and do as much. So, and I'm starting to see that around here, but like I said, there's still a lot of people that, they don't want to interrupt their training, to move a small tree that 2 people could pull off in 5 seconds. But they leave it for the next person. So our thing is the more people we can inspire to say, no, let's move that real quick.
Exactly. I think it is a big part of it is, when you're running with that friend and they're new to trail running, teaching them, hey, this is a part of it is taking care of these trails that we are thankful to have the privilege to run on. With that privilege comes responsibility, and we need to be responsible for those trails. So I think that article, as much as it kind of rubbed me the wrong way, I was also like, maybe I'll adopt a piece of, because I didn't adopt a piece of trail before it. And then after it, I was like, I want to do a little more too. And so it was a nice little kick in the pants that I think we all needed. But like I said, I think the big piece is you're organizing it. And that's what we need is people stepping up and organizing and saying, you know what, let's figure out a way to get ourselves situated, and how do we get classes out, and how do we get the word out?
Yeah, I know, like, give a little shout out to Lee Arbogast and Laura. Their group of Sharp Top. I mean, what they've done with the old loggers path is they simply got that back opened up, and now backpackers, are enjoying it, and they're always out there. And it's nice to know that maybe we had a little part in that, because Lee helps us out with so much, and Laura.
Yeah.
And so if we rubbed off a little bit on them, that's great. But like I said, that article, I was upset just because I knew that we do a lot of work, but at the same time I thought, well, hey, maybe this will get people a little angry and they'll start going out and clearing a little bit. So I think actually it was probably a good thing.
It probably was. Yeah.
But we all know why they did it. They wanted the clicks. They wanted to get people kind of angry. So I saw through it for what it was. But at the same time, it's like, we're not looking to do anything extravagant. Let's just keep the trails opened up the best we can. And, and that's where, like, hey, if you sign up for a PA Trail Dog race, at least, like, we're trying to use the money wisely, give back to the community as much as we can, and, make a difference. So, because if nobody touches the trails around here, like I said, we're cursed. Once summer hits, it's a beautiful area, but boy, the trails just get grown shut. And we all know what lies in that grass underneath there, that, so between the snakes and the ticks and things like that, it's nicer to have a nice open trail to enjoy. So,
yeah, Grace, you said that you hit the nail on the head when you said it gives everybody direction, I think, more than anything, and organization and direction of what to do. Because I think a lot of people didn't really know what to do before you did the volunteer program. Not only that, Craig, but you give people direction in a lot of things just with all the races you do and getting people out there running. It gives people direction in life. So you're huge in this community up here, and we sure do appreciate you.
Yeah, well, it's the people that help out, and they all know who they are. If they're watching, they make it, they're the ones that make it and inspire me to keep doing what I'm doing. Because Eric and I were talking earlier. He says, with all those trees you've been cutting lately, do you ever get frustrated? I think, and I was like, yeah, it's just an ongoing process. It's windstorm hits yesterday, oh well, there's going to be trees down, but at the same time we do what we can. And like I said, if everyone just kind of chipped in and moved the little stuff, it gives us more time to get the big stuff out there. So I just encourage people, if you're on your run, just try to make it a goal to move 2 things. And if there's 10 of you, then that's 20 things you moved off the trail that other people don't have to move. So that's all I can encourage people to do. And so, but don't move too much, because I want something to do out there. So,
and trail work will get you one of your bingo slots if you're playing bingo with the rest of us. So
I got to start on that, I guess.
That's another bonus for doing trail work. We will see you. Eric and I will see you this year at Heiner. We can't wait. You've promised us.
Yep.
I'm going to remind you. You promised us a place where we get to live stream again.
And we're moving Heiner about 100 yards on the other side. John Schaefer, John Christ, and I made a new spot that's going to be just the race only. It's going to be really nice. So you'll have your own little spot right there by the finish line.
Yes, nice. We are pumped. We're going to up our game. I'm teaching Eric how to smile, and we're also going to put a camera faced at the finish line, as well as our beautiful faces. So we've got some fun stuff coming up. We can't wait to be at Heiner and join in the party. Are you still looking for volunteers for Heiner? Do you need anything else?
Usually Heiner, we're okay. I'll put something out on the Facebook page on PA Trail Dogs, probably beginning of April, if we need something. Usually we need maybe some sweepers, for the 50K, maybe some help at an aid station. But usually that race, we're in our 17th year, and it usually just kind of runs itself. So, but we'll put something out on PA Trail Dogs before every event, kind of saying where we need maybe some help. Registration's always good in the morning if you can just help out, hand out some bibs and some shirts and socks and things, but we'll put that out closer to the time. So
and that's a race that sells out pretty quickly. Do you know when registration is going to open up for next year for people who are like, man, I wish I missed it?
First week in May.
First week in May. Okay.
And we only do that. Back when it used to be paper forms, people used to say, "Hey, I want to sign up now to commit." And so we kind of started a tradition doing it in May. But we've been sold out since the beginning. I think it sold out in 8 hours. So we've been sold out with a wait list that I can't promise many people getting in. We're sold out. So kind of a shame. I wish we had more spots, but
yeah, that's all right. We can get it on people's radar for registration first week in May, so they can put that on their calendars and be ready
or
to go.
If you are on the wait list and you do come to one of our trail work days, hint, hint, there might be a way to get in off the wait list. So we do reserve spots. Yeah, we in end of March we'll be having our 4-day Heiner work weekend. Or if you volunteer at a different event, like Fire on the Rocks is coming up March 16th. So if you come and help with registration or do something for us like that, come out. Usually you find your way in off the wait list. So
wow, I love it. I love it. Giving back to those who give back.
Yep.
That's fabulous.
All right. Good.
Yeah. This has been so good, but we gotta wrap it up at some point. We're just gonna have to have you.
I appreciate it.
We're gonna have to have you on again, Craig, because we still have more to talk about. But I'm excited to get the word out about the Rocksylvania Trail Series so early in the year, so that people can get their registered for their 8 races. I've been looking to figure out which 8 I want to sign up for myself, but I will be at Frozen Snot.
Okay, we'll see you guys there. Thanks for having me on.
We appreciate your time, Craig, and thanks for everything you do.
All right, see you guys.
See ya.
Yeah.
All right, Grace. What are you doing this weekend?
Oh, this weekend I'm gonna be at your house. We are gonna run around your yard.
You know what I'm doing?
It's gonna be great.
Yeah. Super fun. Bring warm clothes.
Yeah, I will. I'm gonna bring my onesie so I can. After I do one loop, then I can switch over to my onesie and just hang out.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun time. I can't wait to see everybody. And we have another good show next week with Mr. Carl Perkins, right?
That's right. And we're going to hear all about his, all of the crazy things that he has seen and heard as a race director over the past 10 years and give us some insight into what it takes to have a well-oiled machine, the well-oiled machine that he has.
Sounds good. Yeah. Look forward to it. And I guess we'll see you I get to see you this weekend and on Monday. Man, that's like a Grace overload.
It is. I can't wait to see your reaction of Grace overload. What are you doing this weekend, Eric?
Trying to deal with you.
Yeah, you got plenty to deal with.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
It'll be fun. It'll be fun.
All right. You have a great week. I will see you. Aren't you coming in my house Friday?
Yeah. I'm coming Friday.
Cool.
Probably like my plan is to be there like 3 or 4 or something like that.
Okay. Well, we'll have the red carpet laid out for you.
Thank you.
Queen. All right. Have a good week. I will see you this weekend. Everybody, thank you for tuning in. We'll see you Monday, the 22nd, I believe it is, for another phenomenal show of looking at my face.
Whoop, whoop.
See ya.
Bye.